Since day one, I was a very creative person. I asked my father that I want to start a business. He was very willing for that. World Retail Awards are the biggest retail awards. There are 400 people. Out of that, only one Pakistani, and that was me.
If a ruler must have three things, he should have weapon, food, and trust. And when you are in business, you need to take that analogy and apply it to the business.
Carry a gold-plated smartphone. Right? So that was the time of iPhone 5s. The first iPhone 5s gold-plated was made by us. And the reason for becoming a seller was that I wanted to learn this industry. Running a company in a space where Alibaba operates. Alibaba has one of the deepest pockets in the world when it comes to e-commerce. So competing with a brand like Alibaba doesn't make sense. So it does make sense when you draw parallel lines. Because now you, for example, the kind of stores in Karachi, you go to Imtiaz store, you will see families coming into Imtiaz store. Women, kids, they are ready just like they are going to some party or somewhere. So that is a problem. People want to go to social media, they want to bash you. People don't want to raise a ticket.
Not only the depth matters, but the quality of the material that you're using for your foundation also matters, right? So 100%.
Perceived value of the company is branding. If you understand people, see, you talked about psychology as well. So branding is all about psychology.
Think global. Think you can, have the substance to what you're doing. Make sure that you build the trust by delivering, not just talking because talking. Welcome, Ahmed Rauf Essa, ARE Ventures, and Telemart prior to that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's actually, I'm very excited about this one in particular, because it's the thinkers and doers who make this world a better place. Sure. And I see the vision that you are leading with. Not only that, the doing part that you have done to get to where you are. I'm really excited to dig deeper and bring us through from your early journey, early start, even the childhood, like that. Who is Ahmed Rauf Essa and how did he manage to get to the stage where he is, and what are his future plans?
Early life is not something that is very fascinating. So a very average student, a very average son, to be very specific, not a very good student. I tried my best. I was not excited towards studies. Since day one, I was a very creative person. I wanted to I wanted to drill down in the things. And for example, since my childhood, I have been doing this, and I have a toolbox. I open nearly everything, my watches, the fridge, the radio. In that times, the radio was there as well. So the television, if anything pops up in our house and if something is not working. So I was the first person in my house to step in and say, okay, I'll do it. I'll try doing it. So I was that sort of a person. I tried, of course, my hands on the study side as well. So I did my bachelor's, I did my master's from the top university in the country. And when I started my bachelor's, something went wrong in my family. My father had a running business. He used to run one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, the biggest mobile phone distribution company in the MENA region. And he was the founder and chairman of that company. He started very small he didn't even have a bike then. So he started working, and then he started a company, a small mobile outlet at first. He's the first person in Pakistan to start mobile phone business in the country.
Wow.
So he's considered to be the pioneer of this industry in Pakistan. So I always saw mobile phones when I was getting up. So, and then he started building up small mobile outlets. And then he started a company in the year 2000. And he ran that company for 12 long years.
Wow. What was the name of that company?
United Mobile.
Oh, wow.
So
your father was
he was the founder and chairman of United Mobile. But then again, things don't go right. So things do have a turning point. And there was a turning point in 2000. And by the end of 2011, with the partners hijacked the company, we still are in the honorable court of Pakistan, fighting for our funds, fighting for what we used to have. So we started working. So I, being the elder son, stepped in the game, and I asked my father that I want to start a business, and he was very willing for that. So I always say that whatever I am till the date or till the day I die, every credit, every line, everything that I do, every positive thing that I do is always rooted towards my father, because he gave me a space. He said, okay, you want to start it. So the first thing I understood was running a mobile phone company, because mobile phones was something that I always loved and I always have seen. And people knew me because my father was running such a big distribution company. So I started doing a bit of wholesale and a bit of distribution of mobile phones. But then again, it was not something that was clicking us. And it was a bit of saturated market till then. So we thought of coming something with doing something new. So we started e-commerce. The reason for coming to e-commerce was I have been an e-commerce buyer since 2009. 2009, 2010, 11, and I was doing e-commerce shopping across the world. So I had a service of Aramex Global, which is
Wow.
shop and ship. It still is a service. So I got a lifetime membership from them, and I started shopping online from across the world. So I purchased stuff from Flipkart India. There was Souk as well back then, and Lazada, Snapdeal India, eBay, Amazon, different regions from of Amazon, and but then looking up to e-commerce industry as a buyer. Then I also became an Amazon seller in 2010 or 9, back 9 or 10. And it's a new buzzword here in Pakistan since the last 4 years now. But I started selling products on Amazon in 2009 or 10.
Wow.
And then looking up the e-commerce companies internationally as a buyer and also as a seller. I was also a seller of Flipkart India as well, AliExpress, Alibaba, Lazada, every other global player in the world. I was a seller. And the reason for becoming a seller was that I wanted to learn this industry from the players who have done something right. And then when I was running a bit of distribution and wholesale in the country, I was distributing products to then the e-commerce companies in Pakistan. And then I saw a major gap and a very nice penetration space for us to enter. And that was the time when we thought, okay, we should step in now. We started looking up to an e-commerce company as a seller or as a buyer, and then running a tech company. It's a bit of different thing. So we came into the space in 2013 then, and we started an online store by the name of Telemart. And which was formally then inaugurated a year later in 2014. And we started learning things. We started from tech categories only, because tech category was something that we understood, because in living in a city like Karachi, everything related to tech is available in a localized area like Sadar in Karachi. So it was very easy for us to get the sellers on board, because at that time sellers were not even wanting to sell online, because for them online was nothing. So yeah, in less than 0.25% of the total retail landscape, how can I be a person convincing sellers that I want you as a seller on my marketplace? So we started up as a basic online store, then we converted ourselves to marketplace, adding up more and more categories. In 2015 only, we realized that Pakistan is not ready for e-commerce now. And that was the time we opened a retail outlet in Sadar. And we thought of understanding what the retail is all about, because my father do understand distribution, my father do understand retail, even I understood retail, but I wanted to get a hands-on experience of what the retail is doing now and how will it move in the future. And that is when we started the retail outlet. Making a retail outlet in Sadar was of a choice because we wanted to understand the category from the root. And that is where Sadar came in place. We started learning the retail. We went really well on the e-commerce bit. And we started categories that were very, very different for Pakistan, such as we started a gold-plated category. It was the first time that people in Pakistan saw a gold-plated mobile phone.
Wow.
See, that was very, very unique. When we started that category, we just saw a phone. We got a phone. I got a phone from for my neighbor, and he wanted a designer phone, and Virtue was out of his pocket. So I advised him to go for a gold-plated mobile phone, and he got his name written Sikandar on it. And when the mobile phone came, I just at that time in 2015, I was the person who was even clicking the pictures of the products and posting it on social media. So I clicked a picture of his phone and I just posted it on social media. If anybody wants to, why not? So it was just a bluff, that playing around, and if someone wants it. And then we attracted a lot of customers and a lot of eyeballs. So the basic thing that we wanted to get was eyeballs. Initially, every company wants eyeballs, that people start noticing you as a brand, and people start noticing us, and people even connected us with luxury, because gold plated phone was not something very normal. We are sitting in Karachi. In Karachi, people don't like to carry high end smartphones. So, and here I was saying, carry a gold plated smartphone. So that was the time of iPhone 5s. The first iPhone 5s gold plated was made by us. And then starting up, we President of Pakistan, we have catered President of Pakistan, Prime Minister of Pakistan, ex-Prime Minister of Pakistan, some top army generals, nearly every other big MNAs, MPAs, even some gangsters as well. So we started creating mobile phones and gold-plated products for everyone, and they were highly customized. So even you can get in your name. You can get Swarovskis, you can get any design of your choice, your brand logo, anything you want to. So it became a gifting symbol. For example, I know people who bought 3 or 4 mobile phones from me, and they gifted to Malik Riaz, the owner of Beria Town, and they had a Beria Town logo behind the phone. So we started getting eyeballs, and then suddenly, out of all the practices that we were doing, many of those clicked. And that was the time when for the first time, we got nominated in the World Retail Awards. World Retail Awards are the biggest retail awards that anyone can ever see. I went to that award ceremony. There were 400 people. Out of that, only one Pakistani, and that was me. I saw Tommy Hilfiger, I saw Jack Ma, I saw every other top gurus, business gurus that we see globally. And then, Alhamdulillah, things went really, really well. We started growing on e-commerce front. Then in 2018, we started our franchising model, because we understood retail now, and we thought that we have a good brand name in the country. Then now we can start franchise. Currently, Alhamdulillah, in 2024, we are sitting here, and we have 36 outlets in 24 cities of Pakistan, and expanding, Alhamdulillah, every other month. Last month only, we locked 3 more franchises. So we'll be going aggressive on the retail front, because till the date, Pakistan is only having 2% or maximum of 3% of e-commerce. 97% is retail. Plus, running a company in a space where Alibaba operates. Alibaba has one of the deepest pockets in the world when it comes to e-commerce. So competing with a brand like Alibaba doesn't make sense. So it does make sense when you draw parallel lines. So we drew parallel lines. We started retail. We do have an e-commerce marketplace as well. Alhamdulillah, it is said to be one of the second largest e-commerce marketplace after Daraz. And then we do have a retail front as well, which Alibaba is not doing. And we are exploring that side, because we do believe in case studies. We have seen case studies in internationally. We follow 4 different brands across the world, and we follow them very religiously.
Which one?
One is GOD Mobile World Group in Vietnam. One is Reliance Digital by Reliance Group. One is Chroma by Tata. And one is Currys in the UK. So we do have essence of all of these in the domains that we operate. So the retail bit is more towards the GOD. GOD has more than 3,000 stores in Vietnam. Vietnam has a population of 120 million people. We have a population of 250 million people, out of which 62% people are youth. We have the second largest youth population in the world. Youth means that they are tech friendly. They are our potential audience. So if a brand like GOD can build 3,000 stores in half the population, we can build 6,000 stores. So and people in Pakistan are tech friendly. People do understand technology in Pakistan. Yes, we do have challenges that we were talking about, but then again, we do have a population, a very, very nice potential audience. And that was the only reason, out of everything that we have been doing, that we got really nice global recognition. Alhamdulillah, I am the only Pakistani to win 12 global awards. I was part of Forbes 30 Under 30 2019. I was selected as Rising Star by the World Retail Congress, which is then again the biggest retail congress in the world. And then I have judged around 33 global awards till the date. And I have judged brands like Saudi Aramco, Apple, Tata, Reliance, every other big brand, or every other leading brand in the world. And I've also been the only Pakistani to chair the International Business Board back in 2023. So God has been really kind. And the people internationally have been looking up to us just for a reason that we have been trying to do something which is really out of the box in a country which is still trying to make its space in the startup world.
I think it was so powerful. Thank you so much. When you mentioned that you started as an e-commerce player, and then very quickly you realized that the market wasn't ready, so you weren't shy to just go back to what worked really well. And sometimes, it may sound very simple, but it takes a lot of courage, because if you have that disruptive mindset that, okay, we're going to just keep on innovating, and if you don't really understand the preserving forces which are equally important for our society to stay afloat, right, you might not have achieved what you have just listed, right, and all the achievement that you have had. So my question to you is, Ahmed, that when you realized back in 2015 that Pakistan wasn't ready for e-commerce and you just started to go into the retail, so that was like a hybrid, I'm assuming, solution that you created, right?
Yes.
That you didn't fully ZBB the online, and
We started an omni-channel presence. So
okay.
we do had a marketplace or the online store, but then again we tried focusing on the retail bit as well.
Mhm. So when you started focusing on the retail bit, right, how and what has played part into Pakistan as a nation being ready for e-commerce from then till now? What were the key factors, in your opinion, that sort of got us to the stage where we
See,
are at?
e-commerce in Pakistan is still struggling. And I always say it will struggle if the prerequisites are not met correctly. See, e-commerce is all about, first, you need to have smartphone penetration in the country, which is somewhere around 26% in the country. Secondly, if the people start using smartphone, they'll start using internet. Internet penetration in Pakistan is somewhere around 22 to 23%. And then when a person has a mobile phone, a smartphone, and then he start using internet, then he start going towards the social media sites. And then only players like us can drag them to our websites and say, okay, we do have a good offer. Why don't you buy from us? So if the prerequisites are not met, Pakistan has a very low smartphone. UAE, talking about UAE, which is a very flourishing e-commerce market. It's nearly 40 billion US dollars. It's doing 40 billion US dollars in e-commerce alone, whereas Pakistan is not even able to cross the 5 billion mark till the date. UAE has a population which is 3 times lower to what you see in Karachi only. See, so just understand, the problem is why they are doing very, very good. They have 100% internet penetration. 100%. Every person in UAE is using internet. That is what makes it easy for people to shop online. Secondly, talking about UAE only, of course. If you are an e-commerce buyer, why will you buy e-commerce? You want to go for convenience. So, for example, now in Pakistan, if talking about myself, I have only 2 things that I can go to with family or friends. One is food, one is shopping. If I take shopping away from you and try pushing you to e-commerce, you have nothing left in your life other than the food. So that is a major problem. In UAE, you see amusement parks, you see theaters, you see big other parks, big other things going up, this festival, that festival. We don't have such things in Pakistan. Similar was the case when I recently studied Senegal. Senegal has a similar problem in place, just like Pakistan, because people have just 2 places to go: shopping and food. And how can you take 50% of what he has in his life? It's impossible. So prerequisites need to be made. People shifted towards e-commerce in Pakistan when it was the time for coronavirus. When the ban was lifted, nearly everyone went back to retail stores. So the spike was so abnormal at first. But then again, when everything was back to normal, even the spike went back to normal. And people were thinking, even players like us were thinking, that people will explore e-commerce more now. But that was not the case. because people went back to their original lives, their lives that they wanted to. Because now, you, for example, the kind of stores in Karachi, you go to Imtiaz store, you will see families coming into Imtiaz store. Women, kids, they are ready, just like they are going to some party or somewhere. So that is a problem for a person like me, where I want to promote e-commerce, and I see that the infrastructure is lacking. Internet is Pakistan. You have been into Pakistan, right?
Mhm.
You are here since the last 4 or 5 weeks. You have seen how the internet is functioning.
Mhm.
A place like me, for example, I live at a road which is called Kashmir Road.
Mm.
So there is a central jail in the middle of the city,
Mm.
and they have jammers all around. You can't even use phone. How will you use internet in this kind of situation? So there are infrastructural things that are lacking. I was there with a courier company last day, and we were discussing issues that they face, because when they face issues, they are one of the pillars of my company. And when they do blunders like they have been doing, and we face the consequences, because
Mhm. You're facing
the customer will be coming to us, because you are a marketplace. Everything bad that goes around is because of you.
Mm.
So that that is what we face. The payment infrastructure is not in place. The marketing people are trying their best to do good stuff, but there again, there are policies in place that are going very, very wrong now. And infrastructural thing, if the rooted things are good enough, then only, for example, I always say that if you want to build a tall building, then you need to go deep, and
Mhm.
you need to dig deep.
Mhm.
That is the only way you can go to the sky.
Mhm.
That is how an industry is also built. You need to plant the roots rightly.
Mhm.
And that is where we are lacking. We are trying to increase the size of the building, but then again, our roots are really, really weak. And that is where we need to focus on as a country and as an economy.
I think something you just touched on very beautifully, 4 or 5 things that really resonated with us, what we are doing at UPitch Live. And not only that, as individual, I really believe in that philosophy. Not only the depth matters, but the quality of the material that you're using for your foundation also matters, right? So 100% bang on the money. You see, back in 2016, we did an experiment as well, and let alone e-commerce, but getting people to, well, it's a form of e-commerce, but even over the phone, place an order and get delivery of something like fresh fish. So, with the name of Seafood King, we launched the brand. Where what we experienced, and for me, it was an experimental launch because I have been away from Pakistan for 20 plus years, right? And for me to start learning the dynamics of the market, I wanted to test the retail space because it was people facing. Then we did software and a few other bits and pieces. So that was my in-depth research that I was doing. And we launched that brand, and we realized people were like asking questions. So what happens if the fish is not fresh? Now, me having experience in Ireland, everything, right? I'm like, what kind of question is that? So what we realized is that before you give them an offering, there is an education element. So in the prereq, there was such an amazing learning. And now delivering something perishable like fish, right? And educating people within that ecosystem is very big because people don't even know. They think that they're getting, let's say, cod. But in reality, it's not cod. And they're used to getting it from the machliwala, the guy who is coming. So we were trying to educate people on that, and we were delivering all over Karachi, and we were naive as well. We were offering free delivery, so our riders had a chaos managing the logistics of it. So we spoke with Baikia back then. They were relatively very, young as well at that time, and they said, "Look, we will consider, but the need for you to have ice for the delivery because you need to have the packaging in a way to deliver fresh fish to keep it fresh was a big challenge." So that education part, I can understand, how big
It's
of.
really, really painful to educate audience, because see, they have been going through a lot. See, and if you want to our people to grow, you need to educate them rightly. You need to show them positivity. You don't need to show them negative things that we have been looking up to. For people say that I am really, really positive, the only reason is I don't watch television. I don't have time for television and the news, because every time you open the news, you'll see It's like Pakistan is collapsing the other day. Pakistan will collapse right now, right now. So and people are doing good in Pakistan. People are earning a lot of money in Pakistan. They are making millions and millions of dollars every month. I know people. They have been doing really, really good. So we need to move towards the positivity. And yes, we do have issues. For example, quick commerce. You touched upon quick commerce, where you order and people will get it in a while. So quick commerce failed badly in Pakistan. See, brands like Airlift came $300 million worth, and then they went. There are also brands in the Punjab side, so where they came into quick commerce because people don't. For example, in Pakistan, see, you have been doing e-commerce across the. I have been doing e-commerce across the globe, but then again, there's no cash on delivery concept other than UAE or the subcontinent region. See, even Amazon is offering cash on delivery in India. So because the major problem with cash on delivery is that people can return. People do return. I know e-commerce players, major e-commerce players in the country who have a return ratio of more than 25%. 25% parcel coming in return. And of course, when you send an item through the courier, they normally destroy the packaging. Because the way they throw at their service stations, it's really, really disturbing if you are a business owner and they go to the facility that the courier has, and you will see the parcel that they are throwing up in the air. They destroy the packaging normally. When it comes down to you, firstly, you are hit with the return charges. Secondly, you got a product that has a damaged packaging. So now you cannot sell it. You cannot even return it back to the vendor.
Yeah.
So there are many, many challenges. But then again, not everybody can do it, and if I can do it, why shouldn't I be in that place? So I am in that place because not everybody is strong enough to deal with all of this at the right moment, and dealing with all of these people, including the customers, including the government, the agencies. So you need to have a lot on your plate when you are running a B2C or especially an e-commerce B2C business.
No, that is so powerful. You touched on something earlier on as well, right? That basic necessities aren't met, and fundamental prerequisites that you need to have to build something upon is very important, right? And I can think from an angle that, let's say, a person who is living hand to mouth, but they do want to experience nice things, but they know that first they have to save up to actually be able to afford it. And now the capital that they have available to get that luxury or need, they have now trusted an e-commerce player, which they are not used to, because traditionally they are used to going into the retail. Now, if they have invested it, now they want to see that result, right? And somehow the delivery doesn't happen the way they were expecting, or the product doesn't meet their expectation.
Things do go wrong. See, things do go wrong, and even globally as well. Yes, I have been shopping globally. Things do go wrong in e-commerce.
100%.
But people don't go up to Jeff Bezos and talk that you have been sending these kind of parcels. Whereas in the subcontinent region, people do come up to us. They do tag us. I have seen people tagging Forbes that how can you add this person to the Forbes 30 and the 30 list because my parcel was not up to the mark. So things do go wrong here in Pakistan.
And you see, and I can look, to be honest, I have huge amount of love for that individual who have done it, right? Because imagine being in that mind, right? Thankfully that, but you see the empathy comes that person now doesn't have a replacement cash, and now they are scared and worried. And if your customer support, or if your, like the first line of customer satisfaction isn't on point to give them that level of satisfaction, that becomes another challenge. But that is a challenge globally. Yes. But someone like yourself, Fahd Ali Khan, I'm quoting this quite often these days, right? He said that anybody who's an entrepreneur in Pakistan, they have to work 275 times harder, dollar to rupee ratio, right? And they have to work that amount of times harder to keep afloat. If there was to be a swim race, there is a 20 kgs tied to the ankle, which they need to win the race with the rest of the world, right? Yes. So it's a challenge, which is a global challenge. Now, you have to not only put the systems in place, but at the same time, you need to have an empathetic approach towards your customer, that person doesn't have that level of luxury to have even that patience. And that's probably why you stay positive, that
For example,
you can laugh about it, is
yeah,
what my
yeah,
point is,
we do laugh about it. And see, things are different when talking about the West world. For example, talking about the customer who is not very happy with your service. Globally, you do go up to online stores, you do have issues as well, but you go to this ticket system and then you raise a ticket and then you're easy on that. Whereas in Pakistan, people don't want to raise a ticket. People want to go to social media, they want to bash you, and they want to talk to you on call. How can a business have a calling line for that? See, you do reach out to Amazon on tickets, you do reach out to Daraz on tickets, but then again, you want to, when people in Pakistan want to talk on call, they want to threaten us, they want to talk shit about us on call. So that is something that they normally fantasize about, that we want to talk on call. And
Yes.
call is something that, as a business, as a technology business, I don't want to talk to people on call, because I want to jot down everything as an evidence in the support dashboard.
Yes.
So that anytime a customer pops up to me after a year or two or even 7-8 years, I do have a description in place. What happened, when happened, who was the person talking to him, what was the response, so that I am secure enough. So these kind of issues are very petty, but then again, there is a mindset in Pakistan, how the customers have been looked. Because see, even the customers are not wrong, because they have been seeing such fraudulent activities. I recently came across a case where a person was using my brand name, Telemart's brand name, as a brand, and he was hiring people, and people were investing with him.
Wow.
God knows how he was taking funds in Easy Pesa. I don't understand, running such a huge company, a private limited company registered with Security Exchange Commission of Pakistan, one of the biggest tax-paying companies in the country. But then again, people do have options. People do start taking frauds. So fraudulent activities are at a peak in our country, because people in the rural areas don't understand technology. And that is why we need to educate them first, that if a person is right, you need to check on, there should be a checklist. For example, there was a time when I went to government of Pakistan, and I thought that we want that I gave a solution. I said that we should start a certification. So for example, ECAP certified website. ECAP was an association that we were building. So I said we should have a association. For e-commerce players, we don't have an association in Pakistan till the date. We have an e-commerce policy which is not even in place right now. But then again, I came up with a plan. I said we should have a certification. Every person, if they want to get certified, our team will visit, we'll have association, because we do understand e-commerce. We have been doing it for quite a while now. So we'll make a team, they'll visit them, they'll give them certification, and we'll give them a logo to place it in the website. And anyone, if you are buying it from a ECAP certified website, you can come up to the body and say, if there is an issue, you can tell us. If there is an issue, because ECAP certified website is an authentic website, you can shop on. If they are putting up any price, anything, you can shop from them freely, and you will face no issues. And even if you face any issues, we as a body will be there to support you, to support the customer or the vendor or the courier. So we were trying, I always wanted, because such initiatives will help us build the e-commerce industry rightly. We are normally building e-commerce, but then again, we are not building it rightly. Every other player, I know the right people in every e-commerce company, but then again, we are not on the same page currently, because we need to come on same page. If we are not on the same page, then things will go as they are going right now.
I just love it. You mentioned trust, right? And Confucius, according to his philosophy, he was once talking to his disciple. He said, if a ruler must have three things, he should have weapon, food, and trust. And if he must forego either of them, first he should let go or forego of weapon, then food, and the last is trust, right? Because this is how the societies are formed. And when you are in business, you need to take that analogy and apply it to the business. Now, how do you build trust? Is by doing what you were recommending, right? And then this is what we got to do. But then on the human level, building trust, talking about it, there is us human beings, we need to talk to think. So that's why there is a field of psychology, right? That this is where shrinks or psychologists come into play. But we don't have that understanding, nor do we have luxury, because we are struggling generally, like a large population of 250 million people is struggling with that. So our therapy sessions are when something goes wrong and we want to pick up the phone and we want to go hell for leather. And then, of course, that makes us feel great. So you are doing good. This is a charity for you and your company. And if my team was facing or used to face similar challenges like this, these are the conversation I would have, right? That, you know what, there is a hadith where, he said that a smile is a form of charity, right? Now you can take that inspiration. And if you're giving somebody a shoulder, a guy or a woman going through the challenges that we go through, they want to actually blurb it all out on you. You are chosen. So it is noble. We are all in the dark. Some of us choose to look up and some of us choose to look down on a like a lighter note. But you see, what I want to touch on, right, is that so I do, so my background, like my family is Gujarati, right? My grandfather had a name Cutlery Wala, right? The reason being is because he had this cutlery shop. So there was a house and there was a shop. Shop was a part of the house, right? Now, coming from India, Gujarat, Surat, right? So we are very much community builders, right? We believe in community. We believe in, no man gets left behind. But oftentimes what happens is that gets secluded to within our community. However, when we do understand the power of community, we translate that into economics. Like your father has been able to pass it on to you, or you are doing great work, right? So you understand community, you translate that into, economic activity, core foundation of any well-functioning society. There is no transaction, there is nothing happening. And then what I see from you, and I often, after our meeting, I have referenced you a couple of times. And I said, what I really loved about Ahmed was that he talked about now, how can we use that worked formula and just literally distribute it to everybody, right? Or share it with people. So you belong to a Maiman community, right? And now you are in tech and having the support from your father. So your father had that vision. So before I present and get you to answer this question, one of the things that I have been talking to our team recently is whoever was an expert on something, they were expert because it was something that they became expert on. In order for you to become an expert of future, you can't bank on experience because it hasn't happened. So it has to be banked on the vision. And the vision is important. Why? Because if people think they can, or if people think that they can't, either ways they are right? And that quality thought is a challenge which we face in Pakistan, the mindset that you refer to in Pakistan. So, do you think, first of all, that having the start that you had, which you are grateful because you mentioned that everything that you're doing is from your father. Do you think that that's important? Second, if people don't have that head start, what can they do in your opinion? Because I consider that as a head start as well, because it's natural for me to, laugh at when shit hits the fan.
Okay.
And then obviously that community element in Gujaratis, because even you go to California, you go to San Francisco, you go to Dubai, you would say, oh, Gujaratis and Maimans, they are actually, doing great work. So what is your thought around those questions that I asked about, the having that understanding on an intrinsic level? And then what is that formula and how can we just share that with the world?
So I guess talking about Maimans and Gujaratis have a very similar background. So Maimans are nearly what you see Gujaratis. So they are a new generation of Gujaratis. Even my grandfather used to talk in Gujarati. So every other elder that you see, even till the date, every other elder you see, or my grandfathers or foregrandfathers, every forefather used to talk in Gujarati.
Yeah, my father is fluent in Gujarati, but I'm very limited.
Same was the case with my grandparents as well. So they used to speak Gujarati, they used to read Gujarati newspapers and all. So Maimans are an essence of Gujarat. So that is the only reason that they are into business. So yeah, they are, or we can term it down as dhanda.
Dhanda,
So,
yeah.
so, even
And that's your book as well, actually.
yes,
You
yes,
just
yes.
recently published book with
Yeah,
Dhanda.
I wrote a book as well on the title Dhanda. So yeah, because it's something that we talk about. No, we don't talk about business. We talk about dhanda. So Maimans do have a well-rooted business plan normally, and for us Maimans, we believe is that even if I am having a cart, it should be my own. Why should I work for someone else? But then again, 90% of the Maimans are employed as well. So even the reason you see Maimans flaunting everywhere is they built something right at the very right time. So, but then again, now talking about Maimans, I always go to Maiman community events. They recently started calling me as well. Before that, I was not the person who they wanted to call because I was a younger generation for them. So now, having some white hair in my beard as well. So now it makes me privileged that I'm now eligible now, so that they can call me to the events. I always say that. Maimans do invest in profitable ventures. Maimans do make profitable, sensible business. The core business definition that even the startup world now understands after the depression they have seen globally in the US side and the VC side of the game, that business is all about profits. I always say that people need to understand and they need to study again and again the basic definition of business. Any economic activity you do for profit maximization. Maximization is the profit maximization is the keyword here in the definition, that you need to focus on profits. You need to focus on anything but profits. So Maiman do understand that profit is something that we need to make out of businesses. They do invest rightly. I am also a Maiman. I have invested a lot in Telemart, knowing that it will be profitable someday and it will give me a result in terms of valuation someday. Maimans these days don't understand valuation business. The only thing they understand is profit. So I try to make them understand that valuation is profit as well. So you have built a brand which is worth billions and billions. You have invested millions, and now the brand is worth billions. So that is also a profit. But then again, it's not matured yet, because the maturity is at the time of exit. So you need to understand. So I try to understand. I try to make them sit on the table, make them tell that yes, you do have done something very, very right in the past. But then again, if you are not adopting technology, or you're not coming up into this space, the VC space, the venture space, then people will come up other than you, and they'll make more and more money. And there will be a time that they will dominate, because see, VC companies or VC oriented companies or the startup companies, they can do millions and millions and even touch and become a unicorn as well, whereas we don't see Maiman unicorns. Right? Maimans are doing businesses. Maiman are making a lot of profit. You see, every other business tycoon in the country is nearly Maiman. Maiman rule Pakistan. But then again, they are not coming into the tech space. And that is the only reason people in the startup space call me a bit deadly. They're like, he's Maiman. He's also a tech entrepreneur. So it's very deadly for them. So because we think in a way that we want to build a company sensible, feasible, and scalable. That is how Telemart was also created, and that is how my other business also created, where we came up with a plan. E-commerce, we'll start e-commerce. We understood e-commerce is a money losing business. We'll have to lose a lot of money. We didn't have those deep pockets that we can lose millions and millions of dollars in this space and then wait for the right exit, which is not even coming closer in the next decade as well. So we thought of coming up with a retail business, which was sensible as well. And retail is a profitable business.
Hybrid approach.
My retail outlets make a lot of profit. My corporate division makes a lot of profit. We went up to banks. We make different alliances. Every other B2B company in the country is now getting products from Telemart. Every other bank is getting product from Telemart. So that is how we built a structure where we thought we need to fuel the company. Of course, we need to fuel the e-commerce business. It's a money losing business. So we came up with a plan where we'll be making profits on this section of the business, and then we'll fund our e-commerce with that. So that is how Maimans think, that we need to understand one thing, which is profit. So yeah, that is how I believe. That is the only reason Mehman do invest in charity as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, that is something where we need to understand as well. Okay, we as Mehmans, we think that if the Almighty has promised, so yeah, and he has promised that he will give multiples of what you have invested for his people, on his people. So yeah, so that is what Mehmans invest in. Every other charity organization, I know people who spend more than 10 billion Pakistani rupees per year in charity. 10 billion rupees in charity.
Just in charity.
Just in charity. Means around 300 million.
300 million.
300
yeah.
billion US dollars just in charity. See,
Mhm.
because he knows that this is a transaction that will never go wrong.
And it's doing business when I transition from this world.
Yes.
The part
And-
of their belief system.
And that is the only reason Memas are now training their generation rightly in technology. Every other institute that Memans own, every other hospital, there are multiple hospitals. Even in Karachi, more than 50 hospitals owned by Memans, and more than 100 plus schools, colleges, universities owned by Memans. And what they're focusing on, they want people to learn. They want to educate the next coming generation, because the last generation did good. In terms of business, in terms of economy, yes, we did blunders. But then again, they want to train the new generation coming up in technology so that they can take a place in the world. I know people who have been training more than 1,000 people every month in technology, free of cost.
Wow.
The best part about how Mehman's thing is, give them the knowledge free of cost. So yeah, for example, if you sit with me, I do talk to brands, I do deal with brands, and normally it's free of cost. I just want to give back to the community, because see, if you understand in a wider perspective, if the person coming up to me, there are thousands of people coming up to me, and if I give them the right advice that they need, and if they do right in their life, they'll contribute to the economy.
Mhm.
And if they contribute to the economy, at the day end, it's also benefiting me as well, because I'm also running a business in the similar economy,
Mhm.
in the same economy, so it will complement me as well. And I always say that people, for example, Memans are famous for one thing. They were famous for, they had a stereotype that they don't invest, or they don't not invest, they don't spend. So,
Mhm.
and now when you see, the Memans are the biggest spenders in the country. Worst thing a person can do is to halt or stop every other spending that he's doing, because the economy works. The cycle of economy works when you start spending.
100%.
So that is also a reason where our religion says that you cannot hold back anything, whether it be your money or your product. You need to invest. So yeah, that is where the economy cycles goes on, and that is how Mehman have been functioning. Mehman are coming up to technology. I run more than 50 brands in the country, alhamdulillah. And I'm a woman, of course, a tech entrepreneur. I know the MD of Daraz, Alibaba owned Daraz, is a Mehman as well. So I know Mehmans are now coming up to a space of the biggest B2B player in the country. Bazaar is also owned by Mehmans. So now Mehmans are stepping up the game. They need to step up the game. And not only Mehmans. See, Mehmans have been giving directions only. So we are just giving up a direction that I genuinely want. I don't normally meet people. For example, I'm not inclined to a person who is saying, normally people come up to me and they're like, I want an advice from you. I'm a Mehman. I just say, I don't even care if you are a Mehman or not. If you are asking me something, it's my obligation that I need to guide you rightly. And the last thing I'd always say is, do remember me in your prayers. That is the only thing I want from you. That is how I guess I'm investing more and more people who are giving up duas, and who are giving up, who are reaching to the Almighty for me. And that is the only reason we think. And I guess the core that I like to close this question on a note that people in Pakistan don't research. For me, people ask me, what is the one thing that has given you access, or that has given you such an exposure? The only thing is research. I learn. I try learning from everyone across the world. I have learned Flipkart by heart. I have learned every other global player by heart. I know I go out to them, I research. Even there has been times where I have reached to some very big global entrepreneurs just directly on their LinkedIn that I want to talk to you for 20 minutes. So, yeah. And few of them have even responded back. So that is where, see, you don't have to be really, you don't need to be shy when you want to learn. If a person wants to learn from me, I'm like, okay, you can ask anything bluntly. And if you don't know anything, it's not bad. And that is how we understand research is the core for every business. People don't research, and that is the only reason they don't have a business plan. And when they don't have a business plan, they collapse badly. And when they collapse badly, they are into depression. They are into a I'll call it not a postpartum post depression. So the kind of depression they are in, then they can never build up any business. And they'll go back to in a zone where their even family would be cursing them and saying, you tried your best, okay, now go back to some company and try working there as well.
Yes.
So that is where our people need to understand that research is the core. Stay positive and move your core to the research bit, because see, I always say, which is not a good thing to say, but then again, it's the reality. When you are behind the world,
we are
behind the world, we need to understand this.
Accept it.
And when we don't accept such thing, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Where we are in a zone that no, everybody wants it. We are at the best geographical location in the world. We have the best this. We have the best. We don't have best. We are not best. See, so that is where we'll try making ourselves. Started working on ourselves. So people in Pakistan need to realize this, that we are back, and the best thing that we are behind the whole world is that we can learn from the case studies, the success stories. That is what I do. For people who think, okay, you have brains on everything. I don't have brains on everything. I do research on everything. That is the only reason I know much more than any other person coming up to me knows. See, I have studied India. India has a very similar demographics. So we need to understand what India has been doing and how, for example, India is 7 times the population of Pakistan, whereas the e-commerce is more than 15-20 times. How is that the case? We need to understand this, what they did rightly and what they did wrong. So we need to understand what Bangladesh is doing, what Vietnam is doing, what UAE is doing. And that is how we'll have everything on plate rightly, very well pasted, very well on the plate, and then we can see, okay, we need to take these, we don't need to eat these will hurt us, or they have a carbohydrates or sugar in place. So I don't want these kind of things. I want these which have been fruitful to everyone. That is how generations are built, and that is how businesses are made in Pakistan and across every other third world country in the world.
I think so beautifully put, right? And as we are coming towards the end of this session, what I took is that, today's reader is tomorrow's leader. And if you can literally spread it across the nation, then that nation becomes the leader, right? And the productivity growth of each country has to be understood. First of all, that we need to understand that the driving factor of this is innovation, which you touched on. So whenever I think of entrepreneurship, to me, entrepreneurship is a trait, and that trait is specifically the healthy relationship with failure.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have the healthy relationship with failure, you're going to have that cyclical nature that whatever is up is going to go down, and when it's down is going to go up. But what you can do to make your time up is what you just talked about. So you talked about the generation of Maimons who were the preserving force. Right. So they said, we are making money. We're going to keep building and keep building and keep building. So now there is a bang because they were preserving, because it doesn't come easy. And then now what you're talking about is disruption, is innovative force, right? That, okay, now you have preserved. Now we need to innovate. Why? Because if you want to maintain, you need to just go with the time and be. And I think if we learn from the history, it's the fine balance between the preserving and the actual disruption. Look, my very first business was at the age of 10. And that Gujarati DNA or that Maimon DNA that you're talking about, my goal was simple, to double my pocket money. Because I come from humble beginnings, okay? And I had to fight for everything. So I had to save. My goal was very, very simple. I'm going to sell this and I'm going to double my pocket money. And that hasn't changed, right? But that extra layer that you discussed about, now I know that there is a short term view, there is a view that gives you the returns immediately, and there are returns which are going to be long term, right? And the goal that I want to share, and I do want to touch on Ahmed Rauf Essa, ARE Ventures. I want to touch on that before this closing note, and I'm keep on repeating this. Innovation and entrepreneurship, healthy relationship with failure and innovation is going to be the salvation of Pakistan. We need to become a startup nation. Startup nation means that healthy relationship with failure. We're going to fail, we're going to learn from it, and we're going to collectively keep moving it forward. Why? Because we are going to transition one day, right? And the person who has understood that the seed that they are about to plant, they might not benefit from the shade of that tree, has truly learned the purpose of human existence. And that message has to be literally viral, to be honest, because it's not chisel bizzle. It doesn't have that glam. Often the power of it is overlooked, but ultimately that brings all the other things that people desire, right? So what is your mission now? So having created a success story, not only for yourself, you are an institution now. Then on top of that, you have Telemart, which is an amazing brand, hybrid approach, making sure it's a profitable business. We call them, by the way, phoenixes, right? Self-sustaining phoenixes. Enough of chasing unicorns, because there is that rapid race that everybody go to do the land grab. In venture space we say this, the balance of disruptive forces and innovative forces. And in Maiman terms and Gujarati terms, like keep an eye on the bottom line and go crazy if you want to go crazy, but make sure that the money is made, right? So what are your goals? I can see you touched on the brands. The power of brand is very important. Mostly as a nation, we are a service-driven industry. Service-driven nation where our service industry is doing great, which is important. But in the end of the day, what about our own brand, right? What about building the brands? And brands are defined nations basically who were like, you talk about Japan after World War One. It was the brands who brought them out today, which we still trust. Same thing happened with Germany. If you were to talk about after World War II, it was the power of brands which got that nation out. So you are working on the right ingredients. So that's sustainability and the power of building the brand, which you've created for yourself. You've created, and now you are with your platform of ARE Ventures. That's what you're promoting. So what are the plans, and what would be your last closing message for people in Pakistan, for Pakistan's startup ecosystem, with Pakistan's, as we say, adding our value, become that Ibrahim's Chidiya and do our part. So what would you say to that?
So after running Telemart for about 10 odd years, I came up with a plan, and people were, of course, reaching out to me for advisory since 2017 onwards. And people used to come to me for advisory sessions, for advisory meetings, for consultation sessions. And I used to do one-off sessions as well. So then I came up with a plan that why not, if people think that I can build something nice for them, why not I start an advisory brand where I can look into everything. So it's the core essence of advisory. You won't find a company of this sort. I've not seen this sort of company across the world. So I have been researching on that as well. So the reason is that we, for example, a brand, we call ourselves as not an advisory company, but an incubation company. Incubation plus accelerator company. So brands do come up to us. I currently have around a portfolio of 50 brands, 50 top brands in the country. And they do come up to us, and we sort out their operations, their HR, their supply chains, their marketing, their technology, their global growth, their right network, their banks, discounts, everything, tax and all. If they want to grow globally, we build up a platform for them as well. So we look up to everything, because as you said earlier, I even have a similar belief that only brands can take Pakistan out of the hole that we are in right now. Because we don't have Pakistani brands doing good globally. We have just a few brands. We can count them on our fingers only. So we need to create brands. I do have a brand which is selling 60% of their stock. It's an Eastern wear brand, a very famous women clothing brand. I won't name the brand for certain reasons. So they have been doing 60% exports.
Wow.
And people in India and Bangladesh are going gaga on the products that they're selling.
Wow.
India and Bangladesh. See, so you can understand the market, that even having a very negative sentiment about Pakistan in India and Bangladesh for certain reasons that we had in past, the brand is doing phenomenal. So we do understand that these kind of brands can do globally, they can do wonders globally. I recently started operations for a brand in UAE. So now they are starting distribution across the world for the product. And I always come up with a plan that I always say to a brand that you just focus on the product. I'll help you rightly for what you should make and what should be even the pricing strategy. That is what also we do. So we came up with a plan with normally every brand in Pakistan. We are like, okay, you are doing footwear. It's a good footwear brand. Okay, I'll align you with one of my advisory brands who is selling clothes as well. So you can have a JV as well, and then expanding them globally as well. So I have cracked many deals, alhamdulillah, very massive deals locally, globally. We do ask the brands to start making up brands for the international market, because see, Pakistan is confined to a population of 250 million people, out of which only 20% are using internet. How can you just be a brand for them? So we need to understand that if we want to move out of the hole that we are as a country, we need to build massive level brands, and we can do wonders. Because if I'm talking about the Eastern wear, right, it's doing billions in sale, billions, and they are doing really nice. So I wanted to build up more and more brands and to post some certain brand stories across the world. So I want to show the world that, see, we as Pakistanis can do wonders. See, we have been, we are, I call ourselves as underdogs. So yeah, we can step up any day.
Yes.
Say that is how we do in cricket as well. so losing every other match and then coming out as a winner of a Champions Trophy. So that is how we can do in the business side as well, because we do understand business as a nation and running. For example, I always say, if a person is driving a car on the streets of Karachi, he can drive it anywhere in the world, because these are the toughest roads in the world to drive on. Similar is the case with business. If you are running a business in Pakistan and you are doing it nicely, you can do it across the world. Literally, running a business across the world is really easy. Whereas when it comes to Pakistan, I guess my company is giving around 30 different types of taxes. 30.
Wow.
See, and it's so complicated running a business, and then again giving up 100% of taxes and compliance, having a compliance ratio of 100%. Then again, people will come up to us, they'll talk to us, they'll try pushing us under the table as well. So that is how the structure in the country is. But then again, we do have right people, we do have the right mindset. We need to train our new generation, and that is how we can do wonders across the world. I know brands who are making skincare, hair care products, and now they are at my panel as well at AR Ventures, and now they're distributing it globally. And now that brand only is coming up with a brand which is a cosmetic brand, and they're launching across the world. Wow. And they are looking to compete Chanel and Dior in the international market, at Sephora, at every other place in the world. And that is how we can create brands. And that is creating brands is just about the right mentality. If you understand people, see, you talked about psychology as well. So branding is all about psychology. What do you want people to think about you? This is branding. In simple words, this is branding.
How you want to be
Yeah,
perceived. Yeah.
yes, the perceived value of the company is branding.
Branding.
See, and that is what is my specialty, and I always want people to create good brands. Why doing a white label business doesn't make sense. Just sourcing a product, selling it online, it doesn't make sense. Build up your brands, build up your own products. Look into the future. What the people across the world have been doing with certain categories, with certain brands. You need to replicate them and just put a flavor of yours, and to make it to make the essence right for yourself as well. So the flavor only can do wonders for you as a country.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. You have been absolutely phenomenal. So, concluding, what I understood you're saying is that think global, think you can, have the substance to what you're doing. Make sure that you build the trust by delivering, not just talking, because talk is cheap. And most importantly, give and share the knowledge and support one another in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And if you are stuck and if you're looking for a guidance and support, they can reach out to you, and they can even reach out to us. And the power is working in collectively, in actually, they say alone we are a drop, to go together we are an ocean, right?
Yes.
And understanding that makes a world of a difference. So thank you once again for being
Thank you for
phenomenal. And I hope that our listeners get the value out of it, and trust, even with the foreign money, people who are abroad and looking at Pakistan, which is going to get out of its hole, it's on the trajectory, can trust that there are people like yourself and people in the market doing great work, and they can be trusted with their money. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.